Dante's Deep Dish Part 2. The neon static dish sign hummed with a frequency that made Arlo's teeth ache. He pushed open the heavy glass door, the smell of burnt ozone and yeast filling his lungs. Behind the counter stood a boy who looked like Silas, but his skin was the color of a faded photograph. He didn't blink when Arlo approached, his movements stiff and rhythmic, like a record skipping on a turntable. Malia followed Arlo inside, her phone held high as she recorded the eerie atmosphere for her followers. "This place is a total vibe," she laughed, though her voice lacked its usual spark. She leaned over the counter, peering into the display case. Instead of pepperoni or mushrooms, the pizzas were topped with shimmering, oily clumps of black static that seemed to pulse in time with the overhead lights. Shadow Alara emerged from the kitchen, carrying a steaming tray. Her eyes were wide and fixed, the pupils replaced by tiny, flickering white dots of digital noise. She placed a slice of the dark pizza in front of Malia. "The special is mandatory today," she said, her voice sounding like 1,000 whispers layered over one another. While Malia stared mesmerized at the slice, Shadow Silas reached into his apron pocket. He pulled out a jagged shard of glass that hummed with a desperate, frantic energy. Arlo noticed a tiny, microscopic figure trapped inside the shard, a boy banging his fists against the glass. It was the real Silas, his silent mouth open in a never-ending scream. Malia took a large, crunching bite of the static pizza. As she chewed, her body began to lag. For a split second, her arm would appear several inches away from where it actually was, leaving behind a trail of gray silhouettes. Her eyes began to flicker, the white noise in her pupils growing brighter until it threatened to consume the brown of her irises. Arlo felt a surge of cold dread. He pulled his own phone from his pocket and opened the camera app, pointing it at the room. Through his screen, the shop wasn't a pizza parlor anymore. It was a vast, empty void of wires and static. The people weren't humans, but towering, spindly shadows with jagged mouths, holding masks that looked like Silas and Alara. Through the phone's lens, Arlo saw a massive shadow creature standing directly over Malia. It wasn't just standing. Its long, needle-like fingers were woven into her hair, pulling at her thoughts and memories like threads from a sweater. Malia didn't notice. She just kept eating, her expression becoming as blank and frozen as the monster serving them. Shadow Silas leaned over the counter, his neck stretching out several inches further than a human should. The glass shard slipped from his unnaturally long fingers, clattering onto the tile floor near Arlo's feet. "You aren't eating, Arlo," the creature hissed. "The eye doesn't like it when you don't share the signal." Arlo lunged for the shard, his fingers closing around the cold, vibrating glass. As soon as he touched it, he heard Silas's voice inside his head, clear and terrified. "Smash it! You have to smash the menu." Arlo looked up at the giant digital screen behind the counter, where the great eye was blinking, radiating waves of static that were turning the room into a prison. Shadow Silas and Shadow Alara moved in unison, leaping over the counter with fluid, spider-like movements. Their human faces began to peel back like wet paper, revealing the jagged, static-filled maws beneath. They blocked the exit, their arms stretching out to form a web of darkness. "You cannot leave the signal," they spoke together, their voices a deafening roar of white noise.